Hi, I'm back with a reading from Friday, October 21st, 2016. I want to do a little exercise that I was pondering a little bit on Wednesday while I was walking Leaf and Bear. I want to bring mindfulness, honesty, and self compassion to it because in the past, this has been something difficult for me to think about. I'm working on opening up, shining a light into all of the dark corners, being 100% honest with myself. In the past, when thinking about this question, I would usually try not to think about it. Definite avoidance. But then, when at times that was not possible, when life was forcing me to look, then I would swing to the opposite end of the spectrum and I think exaggerate. I'd get swept away into the storyline that I was creating in my head, beating the shit out of myself with criticism. Sometimes it's hard to acknowledge that I have the capacity for such cruelty, but I did, and I would unleash it on myself. But I don't like this pattern of avoidance versus self-condemnation. I'm trying to find a better way, a healthier way. And I think it starts with getting really honest. So the question is, what is my shadow side? What qualities, characteristics does that side of me encompass? I know so well that I am not perfect. So what are my flaws? What are the parts of me that are not serving my journey upward? Why are they there? And what do I want to do about that? What do I want to do about it? I want to dig around in all the corners, shine a light into the crevices, bring every bit out into the open to air it out so that I can look at it in the light, see it clearly, without the distortions of exaggeration in the heat of emotion. I want to let down the wall of avoidance and face these things with my shoulders squared. I need more honesty. I need to be able to fully trust myself again. Trust that I am strong enough to stand up to the uncomfortable. Trust that I won't mistreat myself for my perceived flaws. Trust that I can be there for myself when I need an understanding shoulder to cry on, or a hand to lift me back up when I've fallen, or a congratulatory hug when I've done something I feel proud of. I'm ready to start being there for me. And I guess this is a good segue because this leads right into one of my shadow parts. I rely on others for my own happiness, not just other people. More accurately, I would say external forces or factors, circumstances, people, things outside of myself. And not just my happiness, but also my relief from suffering. I have gone my whole life thinking that something is going to happen or some person is going to come along and make everything better. And that's just not a healthy way of thinking or living my life. In fact, it borders on delusional because it is just not true. And this way of thinking is keeping me from taking responsibility for my own life. In a lot of ways, my life has been on hold while I'm waiting for that thing to come along and make everything better, make all the pain go away. I hold myself back from doing things that I enjoy, thinking that it would be more fun if someone else was there. I avoid trying new things because I think the experience would be better were I not alone. I oftentimes do not enjoy my own company. And I think that goes back to the avoidance thing. There's a lot of dark inside my head that, frankly, I just want a break from sometimes. So I used mindless distraction, mindless entertainment, so that I don't have to be with myself, so that I don't feel so alone. And I am very alone, very lonely sometimes. But I think that maybe this is the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning from my aloneness right now. The reason that I lost all of the people that I was close to, my little circle of friends, my lover who was my best friend at the time, the fact that I don't have family nearby or coworkers, I can't help but feel that there is a design to this aloneness, a purpose. Everything arranged so perfectly. People disappeared from my life without any explanations. I still don't have answers for why my friends just ceased communication with me. And it hurt so incredibly. But now I wonder if there is a greater purpose behind it. I'm meant to experience this heart-crushing loneliness because I have always relied too heavily on others. I use people as a security blanket. I do it even still, I notice, when I go out with Josh. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't get a whole lot out of his company or talking to him. I use him as a gateway to being around other people, to being able to go out and socialize not by myself. I also get the sense that he's using me too, for similar reasons, but also to stroke his ego. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I think I do this because it's a neuronal habit. Growing up and being close with a twin brother, I didn't often have to venture out on my own. It made me feel comfortable to have him by my side. I get social anxiety, worrying about what others think of me, and it is comforting to have somebody on my side who I knew loved me and would never abandon me. I think it also has to do with the powerlessness I felt in my childhood. The amount of pain was hard to bear alone. I don't think I learned good coping mechanisms. I got this message from Mom. She was this way too. She was going to find a man, find a father for us, and then everything was going to be better. A knight in shining armor was going to swoop in and make all the pain go away. He was going to make you feel beautiful and loved. He was going to take care of you. I did a lot of taking care of people growing up, at way too young of an age to have that kind of responsibility. And so the idea that someday someone was going to take care of me was awfully appealing. It's really hard to let go of that dream. This was one of the hardest parts about the breakup with Alan, because it led to the beginnings of the crumbling of that fantasy that I had built in my head. He fit into that mold really well for me, and I placed him into that box without him knowing it, without me fully knowing what I was doing. I loaded him with those expectations, and that was unfair to him. So after it was over, I realized what I had done. I realized how much of myself I had invested into a fantasy, and I realized how untrue the fantasy actually was. So now I'm still working on breaking that clinging hold, that incredibly entrenched neural pathway that fantasy lived in. I don't ever want to do that to someone again. It was entirely unfair even unconsciously put that much pressure on Alan. It was there as an undercurrent, even if it wasn't apparent. And I'm sure that it contributed to some of our problems. And for that, I am sorry. Maybe one day I'll be able to say that to him, but until then, I want to say it to myself. I'm sorry that you didn't learn better coping skills when you were younger. I'm sorry that you didn't learn your own strength and that you thought you had to rely on someone else's. I'm sorry that you had to witness and experience so much pain as a child and in the experience with Alan. Despite what you have believed about yourself, you are strong. To be where you are today, doing the hard work takes so much courage. You never gave up and you never will, because you are worth the effort. And I'm so proud of you for recognizing this part of you. Even though it's very hard on the ego to admit our own flaws, I'm proud that you're digging deep so that you can make yourself whole, so that you can be a whole, healthy person to one day be there for others. I'm going to mention this because I don't know if I ever do. I think this is probably around the time that I read this book. Oh goodness. I'm not going to be able to remember the name of it. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because I'm trying to find this book. Okay, I'll give you the name and the author of the book in just a second, but I'll describe it real briefly. So this book, it was one of these things that was kind of pivotal in the beginnings of this journey, especially because I was getting over this relationship that I had been in, and kind of trying to work through some of my mental patterns and habits. Sorry, I'm looking for this book and I don't see it. So it's called something about the magical other. It's not by Jung, but it's based on Jungian philosophy. And essentially it talks about how this whole thing that I've been talking about thinking that somebody is going to come along and save us, that somebody else has all the answers, and essentially it's our way of like looking for, oh, here it is. Essentially it's a pattern that people have of looking for someone to save them. It's called The Eden Project: In Search of the Magical Other by James Hollis. I don't know where I came across this book, but it was a good one. And it got me realizing how I had used other people in the hopes of being saved by them. Like, instead of working on my own stuff, I actually, in my young years, was like a serial monogamous, like just was in one serious relationship after the next, because I didn't feel whole within myself. I was trying to find somebody who would fill that hole within me. So anyway, I just wanted to make note of that book because it was a good one. All right. I will be back with some more reading. Oh, actually, it looks like this next one is a continuance of... Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Actually, Sunday, October 23rd, 2016. As a continuation of the last entry, I think I should just make a list to start out with and then delve into each item as I have time. So, what are the parts that make up my shadow side? Parts of my personality that are performing in an unhealthy way, unhealthy thought patterns or tendencies, bad habits, things that I want to work on in myself. And then I have a little list. Thinking that someone/something is going to swoop into my life and make everything better. Relying on a security blanket person in social situations. Judgmental of self and others, unrealistic expectations, extremely high standards. The wounded persona. I'm an overanalyzer, get caught up in storylines. guarded walls, distrustful, a people pleaser. I care too much what others think. My avoidance tendency, fear of failure, afraid to take risks, try new things, or be vulnerable. And then assuming ill intentions in others. So I want to touch back on that last entry about the knight in shining armor fantasy. After writing out a list, some themes started coming together. I think that particular notion might fall under the I'm not good enough category. I'm not enough in and of myself, so I need someone to come make me better. I lack the confidence to go out into social situations by myself. Frankly, the sad fact is that I just don't yet know how to be me. Or maybe it's that I don't think the real me will be accepted. Either way, until I can be comfortable in my own skin, I don't think I'll do much good to or for other people. Oh no, I think I just did it again, thinking that I have to do something to change myself before I'll be worthy. Shit, it's so ingrained. And then I have this quote again. This is a moment of pain. Pain is a part of the human experience. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion that I need. I was using that little quote kind of as a mantra. Okay, redo. The whole point of this work is to get to know myself completely, to practice full honesty with myself so that I can start breaking down some of those unhealthy ego tendencies that are holding me back from true happiness. I am whole already, but I have some neural habits that are unhealthy, and I am hurting myself with them. I don't want to do that anymore. Me, my actual self, is a vastness of unlimited potential. These self-destructive tendencies are only some of the unlimited potential phenomena that could come from myself. I am choosing to expose other, kinder, more healthy qualities because as a human being, I deserve to be kind to myself, and I have the power to do that. So, I have come to feel that I am not enough. Through life circumstances and through my own mistreatment of myself, it has become a habit for me to think that I am incomplete, that I need someone or something external to make me better, whole, happy. This is a false notion. I am complete. I am whole. I have everything I need inside me. May I continue to practice strength and courage to allow myself to be vulnerable, to step outside of my comfort zone and show the world the real me. Raw, unadulterated, unmasked, bold, unashamed, beautiful, powerful, wide open, courageous, soft, delicate, strong me. I have so much love inside of me that the world needs. May I open myself wide open and let that love spill out so that it can find its home out there in the world. It is not doing me any good locked up tight inside me because I'm not even giving it to myself. May I let down all the walls, those keeping my love, my essence from going out into the world, but also those locked tight around my own heart, keeping the love out as well. May my love spread out into the world and bounce back to me as well. May I always remember that I am enough, that I always have been, and that the world needs who I am, needs me to be a part of it. So I'm going through my list and thinking back to some of the stuff I learned about the parts when I was seeing my counselor. The little girl was the one who didn't feel good enough, and I think she was the one clinging to the knight fantasy. Anyway, just thought I'd note that before I move on. I was just flipping into my meditations journal to the beginning of my notes on the Joy of Living book. And right at the beginning of chapter 1, I have written, Buddhism is It's not a religion, but rather a science used to explore the mind and experience. It's not about changing thoughts or behavior in order to become a better person, but rather realizing that you are already good, whole, and complete. And then I say, exactly. Okay, I will stop here now. See you next time.